and I can help explain it again. And so for that, you basically get me for a year, which is pretty exciting. Hey, and P. So for a year, we have pretty much a weekly masterclass that drops. We have a few weeks off in between each phase, but yeah, a masterclass every week that's pre-recorded. It drops at 5 a.m. Saturday morning, Brisbane time. So if you are in North America, it'll drop Friday night your time. So it would have already dropped. It's 9 a.m. Saturday here at the moment. So 4 hours ago, it would have unlocked itself in your library. And every week we go deep on something that I know you need as a triathlete. So we start off, today's already unlocked itself. The program started. So the people that have already jumped in have already got access and are working their way through the first module, which is recovery nutrition. So I go deep on that, explain like why it's so important and what we need to understand around recovery nutrition. And that's so much more powerful because you understand why we're doing what we're doing. Hey, Ash. Hey, Critical. Who was that? Was your name Stuart Critical? I think it was Stuart. Hello again. So we dive deep into why recovery is so important so that you understand, and then you can take that knowledge with you forever. And then I go really specifically into how to do that recovery nutrition practice for you. I don't believe that nutrition is a blanket one size fits all. Everything is completely like custom and individualized to you and your needs. We're going to show you how to do that properly yourself. And then we apply that to food. So I can like talk at you till I'm blue in the face, but you've got to be able to then apply that into what you actually then eat. So I help you through that process too. So that's an example of what we might go through in a masterclass. That's recovery nutrition, which we do first. And then every week I go live on Zoom. So it's not like this. It's on Zoom and we all like have our videos on and we're unmuted. And it's your chance every week in Power Hour to ask me questions, pick my brain. We go through whatever topic we're doing that week and make sure you know exactly what you're doing. You're not stuck on anything. And then I help you kind of translate that into food and what you're eating and then applying it specifically to you as well. So it's a great opportunity to learn from me, but it's also a great opportunity to learn from others in the group because everyone has different brains, right? And will think about things differently. So questions will get asked that you potentially didn't even think about, and I'll answer them and you'll go, oh, cool. Like I've just actually learned something completely different to what I kind of thought I would because you're learning from others as well. And that's also really powerful. And one of the favorite things that people enjoy about the program is that they are learning from others and we're all doing it together. You know, we're all making the same mistakes together. We're failing forwards and we're all in the same sort of place. And it's okay. It's a safe place to talk about, you know, Kent in the program talks about how he uses duck fat to cook potatoes. And then we talk about why that's not a great idea, but it's become a running joke now about duck fat in the academy. So it's a nice, really safe, warm, welcoming, and fun community of triathletes all over the world. So there's triathletes in the program from Australia, New Zealand, America, Canada, and the UK. So it is entirely online. You can be anywhere in the world and do it. Time zones blow my mind, but the masterclasses are pre-recorded so that you can do them in a time zone that suits you. And then Power Hours are Thursday morning my time, which is Wednesday evening if you're in North America. So both the Aussies and like the North Americans can get online at the same time. And we do. If you joined me yesterday for our live, I went live with 4 of the people inside the program and they were all over the world. We had Jill from Texas in the USA. It was a little bit late for her. It was 9 o'clock at night, which is, you know, triathlete's bedtime. We also had Kirsty join us from New Zealand, even though her accent is definitely not from New Zealand. And then we had 2 Aussie athletes join as well. So if you haven't watched that, it was a lot of fun, but it also gives you some insight into the types of the huge variety of people that are in the program and where they're from and what they're trying to achieve. Because we have athletes that are like very new to the sport, beginner, just starting out in their journey, all the way to athletes that are like Jason doing like an endurance event every month because he's just crazy. So and people that are trying to go to Kona too. So a huge breadth of practice of triathletes, but it doesn't matter how good you are or how good you think you are. Everyone can benefit from learning about nutrition, and that's what makes it so awesome. So that's kind of the setup of how it works. Every phase, we build on our knowledge each time. So phase 1 starts today. It's already unlocked itself. So like as soon as you jump in, it's there. And our first phase goes for 8 weeks, and we talk about everything you need to know on a day-to-day basis for what you're eating to support training. So we do recovery nutrition, we do pre-training nutrition, we build out your meal plan over the first 4 weeks. And I teach you about the concept of periodization, which is so important when you train for 3 sports in a week. It is like the number one thing. Once you get it right, you will feel amazing. You'll have so much more energy if you're starting to eat to support training on that day. And, I don't guarantee that that's going to be fixed in a day. It's going to take a little bit of time to understand that and really apply that to what you're eating. But once you get that right, everything is kind of smooth sailing after that in a way. So you'll get there by 4 weeks. And then we're talking about what you're doing on the bike, what you're doing on the run, and iron and calcium. So 2 really key important nutrients you need as an endurance athlete, which we kind of forget about. Both of them are going to set you up for health and performance now, but also health and performance in the long term, and making sure that we're not breaking ourselves now when we think we're fit and we're healthy and we're exercising loads, but we can be doing long-term damage that we won't kind of know about till we are older or retired from the sport, or, starting to get into that fracture falls risk category in our older years. So we'll do all of that pre-Christmas. So we'll be done in 8 weeks' time from here. And then there's 4 bonus modules at the end of each phase, which help you with some other skills that I know that you need, but aren't necessarily covered when we're talking about our triathlon nutrition stuff. So the phase 1 bonus sessions are label reading and how to actually do that, what we're looking for, and how to compare products. We also talk about how to apply what you're doing on a day-to-day basis into how to order out when you're eating takeaway foods, or how to order out at a restaurant and still sort of do what you need to be doing to support training. We talk about mindful eating as well, which is a mad skill everyone needs to know, because we just are so distracted by screens these days, and we tend to eat food and not kind of even be present to eat it. And if you're not present to eat it, then you're not really recognizing that it's going down the hatch, and you're more likely to not eat to what your body needs. So we're going to talk about mindful eating. And there's a 4th one. Getting your shit together and getting organized. Like, there's no point learning about nutrition unless you can actually apply it and be organized. But I've got lots of tips and tricks to help you become a bit of a kitchen ninja and organizational whiz, so that it's easy, because I know how time poor you are. And, you don't have time to like stand up all day on a Sunday and meal prep, and you don't want to be slaving away cooking every single night because you've got to do training sessions in the evening and you get home late and yada, yada, yada. I get it. It was me once. So just some skills and some strategies to manage your food, because it is typically the ball that people drop when they get tired, run down, time poor, stressed, sick, right? You think about that. If you get really busy, you don't make great food choices. It's the first thing that goes. But I really want to try and encourage you to keep that ball in the air, because that's going to set you up for more consistent long-term change than, this quick fix 8-week challenge. Like, I'm not about that. I'm about creating long-term change and setting you up forever. So that's phase 1. And we're going to do that as we hurdle towards Christmas and the silly season, and just make sure that you have a plan for now, right? So that you can practice that over the Christmas break as well. Like, I'm not saying you got to be like a weirdo over Christmas, but let's have some foundations in place to set us up for 2023 on the best foot possible. Because once we hit January, we dive into phase 2, which is our more race nutrition side of things as we head towards that. So we're talking about carb loading and how to do that properly, because nobody knows how to do that properly until they've been taught. It is not eating a bowl of pasta the night before your race and like hoping for the best. That is not carb loading. It comes nowhere near what you need to effectively load muscle glycogen into your tissues. We also talk about your pre-race meal and what that looks like and what you do from waking to towing the start line. And we're going to be strategic around that because everyone makes pretty big mistakes there. We don't need to be sucking back sports drink the whole way heading into an event, but I'll teach you what to do specifically. We also talk about hydration once we hit January. So what is your like actual hydration needs? How do we figure that out? I'm going to teach you how to do some DIY hydration testing as well. We build out your sprint distance race plan and your standard or Olympic distance race plan as well in phase 2, just to make sure you've got a plan. Like there's lots of research around triathletes racing, and the triathletes that have a plan do far better than the triathletes that don't have a plan, okay? A good example is Jason, one of our athletes who just did Sunny Coast 70.3 on the weekend. He has never had a race nutrition plan before, and he's been doing triathlon for 9 years. He took an hour off his 70.3 time on the weekend because he had a race plan for the first time. And it was like perfectly dialed in for him because we've been working on it in phase 3. So just boggles my mind. In phase 2, we also go through, what else do we do in that? We talk about caffeine and how to harness the performance boosting power of caffeine, but we need to be strategic around that. There's a lot of evidence around caffeine. It's probably one of the most researched. In fact, it is the most researched supplement in the literature, but the research has evolved over time, and the more we understand about caffeine and the more we know, the more we've kind of finessed and fine-tuned our like recommendations for that. So I'll teach you all about that, and then we're going to strategically put that into our training and racing. You don't have to drink tea and coffee to do that. I'll show you. What else do we do in phase 2? How many have I done? So hydration, carb loading, pre-race meal, sprint, Olympic, caffeine. We talk about multiple transportable carbohydrates, which if you have no idea what that means, don't worry, I'll teach you. But when we're starting to, step into Olympic distance events, 70.3 Ironman distance, we need to think about the types of products that we're using and be strategic around that as well. Like just because you use a product, you need to understand, what's in it, what's it providing, is it doing the right things for us? So we start to talk about that, which we'll need as we head into more longer course racing as well. Now, there's another one that I'm missing. Managing hot races is the other one. So here in Australia, it's pretty bloody hot through all of our racing season, but also overseas as well. Like your racing season is typically the summer. For Jill, she's in Texas. It is bloody hot there. And so if you're doing hot events, we need to have a strategy for managing that as well. Or if you go and travel to a hot race, you need to do some things differently so that you survive. So think like Kona's coming up. That is going to be pretty hot. There are so many hot races. Like here we have Cairns Ironman, which is hot. There are so many hot events. So thinking about having a plan for cooler, temperate type events like Ironman New Zealand, Port Macquarie, like Ironman Australia, those sorts of events, versus what you then do when you go to a hot environment. So I'm going to teach you all about that too. Things that you have no idea about and you didn't even know you needed to know about, but we're going to dial everything in specifically. And then we've got another 4 bonus modules at the end of phase 2. So we talk about sports drinks and sports gels. Like there's a massive range of things on the market. How do we know what's good, what's not good? What are we looking for? I'll teach you how to do that. And then we talk about muscle cramping and where the evidence is around muscle cramping. What do we do? Like, how do we prevent it? And there's one more. Alcohol is the last bonus module that we talk about in phase 2. I'm not going to say don't drink. That's not that's not necessarily what the whole message is, but I'm just going to educate you around alcohol, what its effects are, and then how do we manage that. So we're a bit more strategic around our intake than just getting poleaxed after a race. Okay, so that's phase 2, right? Are you still with me? So that'll take us like halfway through the program, basically. It's really going to set you up for success for forever if you want to be a triathlete for a little while. So we're putting in the foundations now before Christmas about, eating properly, eating well to support training and our health. And then we're going to start to do our race nutrition side of things next year. So phase 3 is our third and final phase of the program. And it's really where we're taking our nutrition knowledge and skills to the next level. It's a little bit longer, that one. It goes for each phase 1 and phase 2 are 8 weeks plus the 4 bonus weeks where you've got some bonus content, but we don't do power hour. So you get a break for me, which is probably a good thing. And then our third phase is 12 weeks with 4 weeks of bonus content at the end. So it's a little bit longer because there's a lot to cover, a lot to do. And in this phase, we kind of build on everything that you've done so far. So I often get this question, can I skip to just phase 3? And the answer is no, because the things that we learned there, you need to have done things prior to actually understand the concepts in phase 3. So be patient. Most people want, everything yesterday. I want to lose 5 kilos in a week. I want my race plan now. I promise you, if you're patient and you do the hard work of sorting out your nutrition on a day-to-day basis first, you'll have so much more success long term. And most triathletes, they're not just going to do one race and then quit. It's way too addictive as a sport to do that. Hey, Jerome, how are you? So we work our knowledge and our nutrition up in the pyramid. So we do our thick fat layer on the bottom first, and then we go higher into our more advanced strategies, and then we go in phase 3 up the top of the pyramid where we're really finessing things, taking things to the next level. Hey, Tracy. So phase 3, we revisit your day-to-day nutrition and what that looks like if we're starting to increase our training volume for more longer course training and racing. So we revisit that. We also talk about more advanced strategies for what you're doing on the bike and what you're doing on the run. So again, when we're stepping up to longer distance stuff, our strategy needs to change. And I'm going to show you how to change and evolve that so we're not just doing the same things all the time. We also talk about race weight and body composition. It's a great conversation. If you haven't listened to it yet, go and listen to the podcast episode I did recently on Tri-Dot. We talked about race weight, which was, with another dietitian as well. So 2 dietitians were better than one. We talk about that in the academy. We talk about gut training and how to actually do that, what that is, and that'll help us to make sure we're absorbing our nutrition during exercise so much better. And we're not going to spend the run vomiting our guts up or trying to get to the portaloo or bonking because we haven't fueled properly. So we're going to talk about that. We also build out your 70.3 race nutrition plan and your Ironman distance race nutrition plan, the bike and the run. It's split into 2 weeks because it's such a beast. We do the ride first and work through your plan for what you're doing on the bike. And then we do your run plan for the marathon at the back of all of that too. We talk about race recovery and what that looks like because most triathletes cross the finish line and then turn off that nutrition switch, right? Who's with me? So we're going to make sure we don't do that and we recover to the best of our ability so we don't get sick, we don't get injured, we don't get horrific DOMs. Even if you're not training for a while, we still want to make sure we're recovering properly because you will suffer for that in a couple of weeks' time when you get sick or a couple of months' time when you get injured. So I'm just going to set you up for success post-race as well. So my race strategy starts from way before and also afterwards. It's not just that key, like those, 12 hours you're doing an Ironman for. It's everything in the lead up and the back of it too. We also talk about a little bit more of the performance boosters here. So some sprinkles. We're starting to do that right at the end of phase 3. And what else? We finish off with finding balance. I see a lot of endurance athletes, Ironman in particular, athletes that use Ironman to bring their weight down. So this is absolutely no judgment if this is you. But I've seen many Ironman athletes in my time that need to lose 10 kilos, so sign up for an Ironman to do that and then finish their Ironman, put those 10 kilos back on plus some, and then go, crap, I've got to do another Ironman to sort my weight out. So I'm going to set you up so that we're balanced after our events. We're not having these massive fluctuations in our body composition. Little bits of a shift, a few kilos here and there are totally fine. That's totally normal. And you shouldn't be race weight all year anyway. But I don't want to see these huge, big 10 plus kilo shifts in between events, because there's something going on if that happens. You need to deal with whatever food habits and behaviors are causing that. And, I would challenge you on those sorts of things. That's what I'm here for, to give you a gentle kick in the right direction if you need it. I'll be your number one accountability buddy. But what's going on there that's causing that? And my goal is to set you up so that that doesn't happen, because that's really bad for our health. Like, no good for our heart, diabetes risk, heart attack risk, all those sorts of things. So I don't want that for you. So we'll make sure that we have some balance after our event, so that we don't have huge, big shifts in your body composition. So that is the program. It's 12 months. I know it sounds like a lot when I just rattle it off in 5 minutes, but it is 12 months. So in a year's time, you will be a completely different person. I talk about the program taking you from a tired triathlete where you have no idea what you're doing, you're stuck on the couch after long rides, you're exhausted by Friday, you maybe crave sweet in the afternoon where you're starting to hunt down the cookie jar or go and buy a Mars bar, or you grab an extra coffee to get you through. I'm taking you from that type of triathlete to a supercharged triathlete at the end of our 12 months, where you know exactly what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. You have energy right throughout your week, even those big, long weekend sessions or whenever they fit into your week. You don't, make poor food choices in the afternoon slot where, that tends to be where everything crumbles. And, you can push through the back end of your training sessions as well, because in the back end of sessions where we're, trying to push through a bit of a hurt hole, that's where we get adaptations from training. That's where the magic happens. Hey, Glenn Dyson. So, how do you say that? Gladeson. Sorry. So that's how you'll feel at the end of it. So I'm actually going to get the alumni on the podcast sometime at the end of this year or January. I might give them the break over Christmas. But just to talk you through some of the things that they've experienced through the program as well. After 12 months with me, having a sports dietitian in your corner to teach you exactly what you need to be doing, the things that have changed for them. So I take you from tired to supercharged in 12 months. And, I will hold your hand. You get me live pretty much every week to really kind of individualize exactly what you're doing and fast track you through the whole nutrition stuff, because there is so much BS online. And it's really easy to get distracted by shiny objects. And instead of, handing over your cold, hard cash for supplements that you don't need, you might actually need to do a little bit of work on what you're eating on a day-to-day basis. So did that answer your question? I think I've answered the questions that have come through. Does anybody else have any questions while I'm here? I'm happy to hang out for as long as you need. Pick my brain. I will be around today. I'm not going anywhere. But doors do close tonight at 6 p.m. Brisbane time. So we're, 8.5 hours away from that. And they don't open again until January 2023. And this is the last opportunity to get some help from me with your nutrition. I'm not doing any one-on-one private consulting or anything like that with anyone. You need to be in the academy to do that. So you do have that option. If you jump into the program and you want some one-on-one time with me, you can do that. That's it's an additional cost, but yes, that's easy. But I'm not taking on any new clients. There's no one-on-one work for the rest of the year. So this is it. This is the last chance that you have to do some work on your nutrition and progress forward, so you're not feeling like that tired triathlete anymore. So if you are going to join us, when I get off this live, I'm going to do a little bit of a shout out to everyone that's joined us over the last day or so. And I'm going to get my gel pool out, which is a our pool, which you can jump in it by joining the program. I put in a sports product for every person that joins. So there's some gels, there's some Revy strips, there's some magnesium, there's some protein powder in here at the moment. And one lucky new member, everyone goes in the draw, and you can win this at the end of open week, which is a great chance to try a range of stuff that you may have never tried before. And that's why I put a variety of things in there this time. So you could try a whole range of different things. So I'm going to do a shout out after I get off this. So if you want me to give you a shout out, jump in now before I do that. Edward, my A race is Ironman Arizona next November, racing 70.3 in October. Should I join now or wait until Jan? So if you're racing in November, then you need to start now, Edward, because you need to be done by then, right? If that's your A race. If you start in January, I don't think you'll get there in time. I haven't got my 12-month calendar here with me in Byron, but you'll need to do phase 1 now, phase 2 in January, and then phase 3 will start May-ish. I'd have to have a look. June, July, August. Yeah, because you want your Ironman plan done. You want to know exactly what you're doing. I don't think we'll fit phase 3 in if you don't start now. I haven't got my calendar in front of me. But the phase 3 guys are still going right now. They're not quite finished yet. So, yeah, I think I'd have to double check my calendar, which I don't actually have here with me. But I think you need to start now to get it in, Edward. And then you'll have a plan even a little bit early, which is better because it gives you more time to actually practice what you're doing, do your gut training, and make sure you're tolerating it to the best of your ability. So the more time, the better. People often ask me that, and the more time you have in advance with your nutrition plan, the better. I often have Ironman athletes that'll come and request an appointment to do their Ironman plan like a month out, and I actually turn them away and say no. There is nothing that can be done in a month's time that I'm comfortable giving you with such a short time frame. So the more time, the better. Does that answer your question? And Edward, did I answer your question on pricing? Were you here for that? Let me know if you have any other questions on that. I can share my screen because you're on Facebook too, if you want me to walk you through what it looks like. Yes, okay, cool. Any other questions while you've got me, Edward? But that sounds exciting. So 70.3 in October. Yeah, so you're definitely going to need to start now to get it all done in time. 12 months, we're in September. We start today, it's literally unlocked already. So if you jump in anytime today, it's already there waiting for you. The recovery nutrition module's already unlocked. And I unlock it first thing Saturday morning. So you've got more time over the weekend when I assume most of you will have more time to go through everything in your own pace, at your own pace, so that you've done it in time for Thursday when you've got my brain to pick. So yeah. All right. Any other questions? Any other questions? I'll put that there so I can see it faster. But yes, I'm going to do a shout out in a sec. So if you want to jump in the pool, dive in the deep end. I'm a really strong swimmer, so I got you if you're not a strong swimmer. I'm a strong swim biker, not so flash on the old running. But, that's okay. I'm working on that. But if nobody has any questions, I will jump off. I'm online all day. If you are a bit of a secret squirrel and you've kind of been watching along and you do want to ask me some questions, just send me a DM on Insta. Or you can send me a private message on Facebook. You can send me an email as well. I ain't leaving this desk today, basically. I have to go get some lunch later, but otherwise I will be here. All right, I might jump off then if it's radio silence. But yeah, any questions, just let me know. I'm here for it. And yeah, thank you for following along for launch week. It's been a whole lot of fun running the online triathlon training camp this week, something I've not done before, but that was so cool to meet people from all over the world and really try and work on their nutrition. So good. And I'll definitely do that again. I'll do that in January because it was so fun. And yeah, apologies for being in your face this week. I've definitely been all over social media and probably your inbox as well. So apologies for that. But we are going back to normal programming from next week. I promise I will be less quiet. I'll be more quiet on the socials, and we'll go back to our just regular Friday email. Keep listening to the podcast. If you don't already, it's the Triathlon Nutrition Academy podcast. And that's where I give you lots of tips and tricks that are specifically to triathlon nutrition. And so if the podcast is kind of like a little baby sprint try that you do when you very first start the sport, then the academy, you can equate it to like a 3-day multi-stage Ironman or Ultraman type event. It's way bigger. We go so much deeper, and you also get me live, and you get to pick my advanced sports dietitian brain every week, which is pretty cool. Plus, join our amazing community of triathletes all over the world. It's like an instant group of training buddies. All right, any questions? Let me know offline. Otherwise, yeah, I hope to see you inside. I'm going to do a little shout out on my stories now. So you've got 5 minutes if you want me to do that. I may not get there this afternoon because it gets a little bit hectic as doors close. But doors close in 8.5 hours, I think, right now. And then that's the last time this year. So you've got to make a quick decision. All right, have a great Friday night or Saturday, wherever you are in the world. And I will talk to you soon. All right, bye.